writing a landscape into existence. It's the oldest sort of literary layer that there is, the Jean Shanachas, the lore of places, the stories that revolve around places, that emanate from places, that flow back into places. You know, it's a whole sort of cyclical kind of streaming of influences that flow out of the organic earth, if you like, into people's minds. And there's a sense in which whatever it is that's embedded in the cranial cavity, you know, brings out these plurality of senses. I mean, in Ireland, we have an extraordinary kind of matrix of names, small names, say townland names. There are 62,205 townlands in Ireland. You know, there's nothing remotely like it anywhere in the world. Names for fields, names for forts, names for every blooming thing, as Patrick Kavanagh might put it. I mean, people make places, including those who write about them. Say, for example, Sligo was never the same after Yeats, remotely so. So when you look at the array of magical places up in Sligo and its Leitrim borderland, you know, Ben Bulben, Knocknarea, Duncliffe, and the wind has bundled up the clouds high over Knocknarea and thrown the thunder on the stones for all that Maeve can say. Angers that are like noisy clouds have set our hearts a-beat, but we have all bent low and kissed the quiet feet of Kathleen, the daughter of Hulan. The old brown thorn trees break in two high over Common Strand under a bitter black wind that blows from the left hand. Our courage breaks like an old tree in a black wind and dies, but we have hidden in our hearts the flame out of the eyes of Kathleen, the daughter of Hulan. The mystification, that the ambience, the aura that goes with all of that, and the sense of otherworldliness, you know, world and other world. That's what we have in Ireland in superabundance.
The Twin Peaks toward back, they're known as Gá Cí Danann, or the Paps locally. They were named after the goddess Dana. When the Tuatha Dé Dananns became established, this was one of their first settlements, here at the foothills of the Gá Cí.
This is local tradition, is it?
This is local tradition. The Dananns, who came here from Greece, came in under their magic mists into Inverscena around Kenmare. And before the people who were here before knew what was happening, they were established. Old chroniclers claim that there was a great battle fought here before the Dananns eventually took over. And they started their magic workings, and they performed all kinds of acts which looked very peculiar to the people who peopled the place before them.
Would these have been the Fir Bollocks?
Yes, they were the Fir Bollocks.
Any of them left around at all?
No, but the Tuatha Dé Dananns still are.
How do you mean?
They're underneath us.
At the moment?
They never really went. They just slipped underneath the ground.
Gilliadú Maccrimmon, as he was called, the black-haired fellow of the Maccrimmons, was the youngest of three brothers. They were sons of a rather undistinguished piper father, and the father had no time at all for the boy, for Gilliadú, and wouldn't let him even touch the harp, and so on, which he taught to the others, of course. But one day, the father and the two older brothers were away at a fair, and the young fellow was at home, and so he saw his chance, and he got down the father's chanter, the chanter of the father's pipes, and he started to try to play it. And who came in but a banshee from the dún, from the fairy residence, so to speak. And she says, "You're making music?" And he says, "Yes." And she says, which would you prefer? And of course, this now is a key question, a test question. Which would you prefer? Art without success or success without art? And of course, he chose the right one. So she said, fair enough. Now she said, you put your fingers on the holes of the chanter, and I'll put my fingers down on your fingers. And when I lift a finger, you lift your finger that's under it. Think now of any tune that you'd like to play. So he does that, and of course he plays it beautifully. And then she says to him, now, she says, you are the king of the pipers, as to reen and pupudin. And then she bade him good day, and she went away.
In the European folktale, these stories, while they provide entertainment in a kind of a pre-literate, pre-modern age, they are delivering not so much a message, but a certain kind of wisdom, which isn't didactic in any way, but they're bearing witness, if you like, to certain inalienable and fundamental truths about the human condition. The earliest term in the Irish language that we have for this kind of thing is the word cuimhne, which back in the early Middle Ages was quite widespread as a term to mean communal wisdom or communal knowledge, how to affirm life in story and legend and ritual and belief and custom and law. It sort of had the implication that there was a certain kind of knowledge which everybody shared, which gave answers to large questions about life, the meaning of life, how to live life, what is the good life, how it can be achieved, and so on.
Well, it's a tradition in this country that people are buried, facing the east, which rhymes with, we look to the resurrection of the dead, which is the basis of Christianity, after all. But I think it looks back to an older tradition. And when priests tried to get people to bury their dead facing the church being the symbol of truth, they thought the rising sun was a better bet than the permanent steeple of the church.